So everything is already written in sines and cosines, which we like. And then one of the tools in our toolbox is factoring. So factoring is your friend. That top is a difference of squares. Sometimes the sine and cosine scare people. So if you were just looking at s to the fourth minus c to the fourth, wouldn't you say that this is s squared plus c squared times s squared minus c squared? And then wouldn't you take that farther to, this one would stay the same because it's the sum of squares, you can't do anything, but this difference of squares would go to s plus c times s minus c. So the same thing works with your sine and cosine. We're going to have sine squared x plus cosine squared x times the sine of x plus the cosine of x times the sine of x minus the cosine of x. So the same thing we did here, except we just replaced all the sines, s's with the sines and the c's with cosines. And then when we throw that over the bottom, that cosine x minus sine x, we notice that it's very similar to one of these factors on the top, this guy here, but the signs are just reversed. So if I multiply top and bottom by a -1, which is just a fancy form of 1, so this is allowed. -1 times -1 is 1, so this is just a fancy form of 1. It's kind of ugly, but yeah. So I can do this, and that will essentially reverse the bottom. I'll write it out just so I can. So this is negative cosine x plus sine x when that negative distributes. And then I'll rewrite everything. And I'll just bring this -1 over to the front. So this -1 came over here, and then that -1 distributed. And so now positive sine minus cosine, positive sine minus cosine, I can Zap-O-Kachooey those away. And then the other thing I notice is that sine squared plus cosine squared, that is my identity, that equals to 1. So if that's just 1, I don't need to write it. So my final answer is just negative sine x plus cosine x. And you can distribute that negative or not, doesn't matter. That's as good as that gets. Excellent.